Hello and welcome to this live interaction with me, Ashish Parekh. Now, an efficient vaccine may be the real protection against COVID-19, but this particular protection will take a very long time given how things stand because, developing a vaccine doesn't exactly mean that you've secured immunity for everyone. The approvals, the production, the creating an efficient supply chain and also ensuring that the vaccine reaches the last person, all of this requires a mammoth amount of effort. Now, this is not only because the formidable task of delivering the vaccine in India, which has a population of around 1.3 billion, is a massive, never done before exercise. It is also something that will test the system at every single step. But also at the same time, apart from all of this, there are several other variables. We do not know if the vaccines will be ready at a particular given stipulated time. Even if they are ready, how efficient they will be, and even if they are efficient, how exactly will be the supply chain, how efficient will be the distribution. There are a lot of issues concerning the development of vaccine and following that the distribution of vaccine. For example, let's consider a scenario. Once the vaccine gets the needed regulatory approvals by the first half of 2021, even that is not confirmed as of yet. Let's just assume it gets the required approval in the first half of 2021. Then the statutory agencies and the manufacturing firms will have to navigate through various other avenues. For example, they'll have to decide on the cost of each dose. They'll have to decide on the establishment of a particular supply chain. They'll have to also arrange adequate number of trained people to administer all of these vaccines, and also they will need to ramp up the production lines, making sure at the same time that the production of other vaccines is not harmed. Yes, focus is on COVID-19, but that does not mean that production of other vaccines should be affected either. So these are all the challenges that the production agencies might have to face. Also globally, for example, there are more than 180 vaccines as of now that are in different various stages of developments at this point in time across the world, and in fact 9 of these have entered the third and the most crucial part of a clinical trial. This is remarkable given the fact that traditionally vaccine development takes somewhere around 15 years, but now given the urgency of the situation and also given the scale at which people are being affected, governments are being affected, economies are crashing down, this is something that has called for a global effort, and a lot of development is happening in this regard. To speak to us more about how exactly we need to counter the challenges and how long it could possibly take for a vaccine to come apart from the development of vaccine alone, we have with us our expert for the day, Dr. Sitesh Roy, who's joining us live from Mumbai. So Dr. Roy, first of all, the first two vaccines that are possibly likely to come through are the Oxford University's AstraZeneca Serum Institute vaccine and also the Sputnik V developed by Russia. Now, assuming that these clear their clinical trials immediately in the first half of 2021, the final hurdle again for the governments will be to fix a price for these, because remember last month itself we had the Serum Institute's CEO Adar Poonawalla, who had come out and said that the government he's not sure whether the government has rupees 80,000 crore in its kitty to pay for the vaccination of all Indians. So clearly many challenges ahead even after the development of vaccines.
Absolutely, Ashish. Getting a safe and immunogenic vaccine is the first step that we will have to face and cross. Once that is done, if it is a vaccine that is developed outside of India, then having the right approvals in place, having the right mechanisms to get the vaccines here, because some of these vaccines will require sub-zero transport. And even once they are here, having the entire distribution chain, as you rightly said, in place, and besides the distribution chain, having the right system of who gets the vaccine first, who gets it second, who gets it third, and whether it has to run parallelly. These are all important questions that if they are already answered and kept in place, we would be able to do a much better job in delivering the vaccine. But the reality still remains. It is going to take easily 2 or 3 years for everyone who needs the vaccine to get the vaccine. There will be some who will get it earlier. There will be some who will get it later, and hopefully it will be done in a systematic manner with the right kind of planning. Clearly, there may be some role for private individuals or organizations or institutions or groups to chip in with the funding, because like you rightly said, though we would want that the Indian government, as Adar Poonawalla said, have about 80,000 crores to vaccinate all the Indians, and that's with a single vaccine, the dose, the cost being around 290 rupees, and if they have to get 2 doses, which is very likely, then it would be 580 rupees per individual.
Okay.
So clearly there are a lot of challenges, but I think what really matters is planning, and keeping the infrastructure in place in order to execute it as soon as we are ready to go, because we do have 4 months at least in hand before anything comes in the market.
Absolutely. Also, Dr. Roy, now we are talking about whether the vaccine is indigenously developed or it comes from outside. Okay, let's keep that aside. Let's assume that a vaccine is developed. Next, the government will face hurdles of fixing the cost. They will face hurdles of storing the vaccines. And also the next step that they would face a lot of hurdle is about whom to vaccinate first. Yes, today we have a briefing by Health Minister Harshvardhan, who will be coming out and also briefing the media about who will be vaccinated first and what will be the procedure that needs to be followed. But at the same time, this is something that will be politically loaded and also will bring a huge challenge to the government as well, because various sectors would want their employees and also their side of the community to be vaccinated first. So a lot of challenges ahead for the government, even if a vaccine is developed.
Very true. Like you said, the storage infrastructure is a huge challenge, because having sub-zero temperature storage facilities across India, right now the universal immunization program has about 27,000 places for storage of vaccines across India. Only 3% of them are in larger cities and districts. Most are in smaller places. We would have to upgrade this, because some of these may not be functional, some of these may not have continuous electrification and electricity supply. So really just the transport of these vaccines in a cold chain and then storage and then taking them to the end user and giving it to them are certainly huge challenges. And when you combine that with the fact that we all know that there is a high chance, based on WHO and COVAX directives, that healthcare professionals should be vaccinated first, but after that, whether it is high-risk individuals, whether it is individuals taking care of the security and the safety of the country, whether it is our farmers who form the root of an agricultural economy like India, there are many, many questions that will face the government.
Absolutely. Now we are talking about, hurdles that will be faced for one, developing the vaccine, two, making sure that the government procures the vaccine, three, storing the vaccines. How exactly will the storage infrastructure work? Next, about the supply chain, how the supply chain would be established. And also next, after that comes, who will be vaccinated first and who will not be vaccinated first. Let's again assume that all of these challenges are successfully navigated. But there is no answer to the final question, which is how long will the protection last? Will this be an annual vaccine like the flu shots, or will the protection remain for a longer period? Even that is a mystery as of now.
Very true, and I think this is the biggest challenge in the accelerated Operation Warp Speed and Lightning Speed vaccines that are being developed, because one of the things that we very carefully assess as immunologists is to see how long the safety and protection from the vaccine individual after they have been vaccinated. And that is going to be a big unanswered question, because even if you take the phase 3 trial individuals who got it between, let's say, June and September, we would not be able to wait 1 year to know whether they are still protected. So it will be vaccinate and go ahead and then wait for the data of the 1 year monitoring to come. If the antibodies and the cellular immunity is sustaining for the whole year, to decide whether those people then need another vaccination or whether they may be good with a booster after 2 years or 5 years. Because sometimes though the antibodies may decline, the cellular immunity may sustain and be very strong for prolonged periods of time and protect people from infection. So certainly these are questions that we will have to wait for answers for.
So clearly, thank you, Dr. Roy, for joining us in this live interaction. That was our expert clearly pointing out towards various challenges that would be that governments would face even after the development of vaccine. Because yes, everyone's talking about vaccine coming out in the in the first half of 2021 and all of these things. But even after a vaccine is developed, it still will be a long road ahead before the vaccines actually hit the streets and common people like us are able to access all of these vaccines. Do let us know what you guys think about this particular live interaction, and also do not forget to leave behind your comments and also like, share and subscribe to News 9 Digital. Thanks for watching.